In this video, I'll give you the bulletproof way to think about your marketing budget as a contractor. I've been doing marketing for over 20 years. I can connect dots based on experience that ChatGPT can't show you. Contracting Empire, our marketing agency for high-ticket contractors, generated over 10,000 leads last year and over $50 million in tracked revenue across our very small and select group of clients. I've seen marketing budgets keep clients stuck for years, and I've also seen them take clients to 8 figures and beyond. That is just my credibility for what I'm about to share with you. A thinking framework for how to budget for marketing. I'll show you how to actually make your marketing free and what helps our clients dethrone established businesses and even level the playing field with companies that are spending millions a year in marketing. I'm not here to kind of give you like a 10% rule. I'm here to fix the way you think about the entire game. There are 5 layers. Let's peel them back. Layer 1. Why percentage of revenue is a beginner question. If you are asking yourself what percentage of revenue should I spend on marketing, you're already losing. Your marketing budget is not a number, it's a weapon. But most contractors aim it at their own foot. If you look at contractor groups, you'll see that everybody's fighting on who can spend the least. It's literally like a race to the bottom. Budgeting isn't accounting. If you want your business to fail, just ask your accountant what decisions you should be making with your business. The accountants are great at numbers, but they're not leaders. They're focused on loss aversion. And budgeting for marketing is a domination strategy. And this is actually your opportunity. Let the others boast about who spends less. You spend what's needed and crush them all. And just so we're clear, this isn't about spending more. This is about spending what's required. Bottom line is that you can't save your way to success, and you need to spend enough to make the right impact. Nobody gave a shit about Bezos building Amazon in his garage in 1994, but half the world knows his name today. Having the privilege to be in the game for so many years, I've seen hundreds of contractors stay at the same revenue for several years without even realizing that they're approaching the game badly altogether. All trying to save their way to success, doing the same thing and expecting different results is literally the definition of insanity. And yet, I see contractors doing it all the time. In the end, it's a simple choice. Push through the suck or die. Comfort will kill your business way faster than your competitors. Which brings me to layer 2. You're not competing with who you think you are. A contractor's biggest competitors aren't even operating locally. Your biggest competitors are the league aggregators of the world. These guys spend tens of millions of dollars a month with absolutely no emotion. I'm talking about Angie, Home Advisor, Yelp, House, Nextdoor, Thumbtack, BuildZoom, Porch, Service Whale, I mean, you name it. Every time you're buying leads off of these platforms, you have to realize that they're actually using your brand to get authority and relevance. The more people join these platforms, the more authority they get. The more you spend with them, the more they can spend. Let me break down how these platforms work. The contractor joins the platform, and then the contractor spends money to buy leads, but then the platform uses that money to run ads, and then that platform sells the same lead to multiple contractors. For each $1,000 that you spend with them, they earn $5,000. So the real question is, why pay these platforms when you can funnel that authority directly to your online assets, like your website, your social platforms, all these things just by running your own ads? Look, I get it. It makes a bunch of sense in the beginning to pay these platforms while you're figuring things out. But if you're making over $500,000 in revenue, there's no excuse not to run your own ads or do your own search engine optimization and AI optimizations. Let's look at some of these numbers and specifics of 3 of these platforms. The first 2, Angie and Home Advisor. Just in terms of scale, know that these are owned by one company that's called IAC Inc., a publicly traded media conglomerate. They own other home service platforms too. Angie.com has over 3 million organic website visitors monthly with a website traffic valued at 8.5 million a month. What this means is that if Angie had to run ads, it would have to spend north of 8 million a month to acquire those leads. But Angie's strength isn't SEO and organic traffic, it's actually paid ads. From the images, you can see estimates that Angie is running at least $2 million worth of ad spend a month, while Home Advisor is close to $500,000. combined that's 2.5 mil. There's more, right? I know for a fact that Angie is using subcontractors to generate leads. And I know one of these subcontractors personally, and they're spending north of $4 million a month in ad spend to just sell leads to Angie. And they're not alone. When Angie was valued at $6 billion, it was likely spending more than $100 million a month on advertising. Kind of makes $10,000 a month in ad spend chump change, right? But Angie isn't the only GOAT. Like Yelp is an SEO powerhouse. They don't even run ads seriously. In January 2026, their organic traffic was estimated at 78 million visitors with a total value of over $87 million a month. And you may be wondering how these guys make so much money and how the machine works. It's fairly simple. They run ads and do SEO nationally, and then they funnel those leads locally. And then, besides these lead aggregator platforms, you've got the big players, the national franchises and conglomerates. If you're in the closet space, you'll probably come across California Closets. If you are in the bathroom remodeling space, it's impossible not to have heard of Rebath or any of these one-day turnover kind of services. Arcadex for deck builders. You have these players in absolutely every niche. Belfor Holdings, Leaf Home, Great Day Improvements, Power Home Remodeling, and more, like businesses with revenue surpassing $1 billion a year. Do you think they stress about investing 20 grand a month in their marketing? I can bet you whatever you want that if we take a look at your market, there won't be one contractor that outspends these guys. You can't beat them at their own game, so you need to play a different game altogether. These are the companies that are driving up the cost to advertise in all of the markets. It's not your local competitors, and you're actually paying them. And usually, like, your local competitors are also trying to save their way to success. Here's the rule of thumb. Like, if you're under $500,000 a year with your business, it may be worth investing into Yelp and Angie to get leads fast. This kind of replaces the competence required to set up your own SEO and ad systems, right? But if you're over $1 million a year, you should start investing in your own brand. Layer 3, context matters. Location plus niche plus competition. Look, like, everybody talks about competitors, but very few look at the actual battleground and the math. Let's look at two of our deck building clients, like Deck Bros in Omaha that made $50 million in revenue in 2025, and Riverview Decks in Knoxville that's on path to make $7 million in 2026. If we look at the rough numbers that Google provides us with, we can see that the average cost per click in Omaha is about 15 bucks. If about 5% of the people that click would convert into a lead, our cost per lead would be around $300. Now, in Knoxville, the average cost per click is around 26 bucks, and the estimated cost per lead is around 530. To get to revenue, we need to stack on top of that, cost per lead, the close rate. For the sake of math, let's just say that it's 20%, right? So for us to get a client, we need 5 leads. Our cost to acquire a client, or CAC for short, is going to be $1,500 in Omaha and $2,653 in Knoxville. If you got this far, you're probably thinking that it's unfair, and Nate in Knoxville is crying in a corner at those costs. But we need context, because on average, Luan's jobs in Omaha are $27,000 and Nate's are $39,000. And here's a screenshot with the actual numbers for 2025. You can see the cost per lead in both cases. You'll notice that in the real world, after a few years of data, everything is dialed in, and in both cases, the cost per lead is under 200 bucks. That's why your generated revenue is the North Star. Now, I won't go into margins, profit, and all of that in this video. Of course, calculate everything so you are making money. It's implied that you're running a business and not a charity. All right, we talked a bit about location, but there's so much more to it. Let's move on to niche. Let's look at remodeling for the same markets. Bathroom remodeling clicks cost on average $23.39 in Omaha and $34.45 in Knoxville. For kitchen remodeling, those numbers are $17.09 in Omaha, $7.55 in Knoxville. Let's compare remodeling to deck building, right? Close rates for remodeling are going to be lower, so even if the average cost per click is similar, remodeling is way more expensive to advertise for. But is it really, right? I mean, if the average deck goes for $25,000 in Omaha, the average kitchen is $60,000. For siding, windows, roofing, pools, and all of these super competitive markets, the marketing costs are even more ridiculous. But in the end, it's not about what it costs, but if you can make the math work for you. See how just cherry-picking information leads nowhere? You don't need cheap leads. You need leads that convert to clients and then get those clients predictably. Also related to the niche, there's a rule of thumb that holds true in most markets. The simpler the fulfillment for a service is, the more competition there will be, right? Because more people can do it, and obviously, more often, a higher marketing budget is required. And literally, like roofing is a perfect example of this. Basically, $10,000 a month can dominate in one market, and in other markets, it's invisible. That's why on every call that I take with contractors, we look at the data and we can clearly identify a starting point for what your cost per lead, cost to acquire a client, and how much you can spend per platform before you even have to start getting creative. All right, let's touch on the favorite component of this layer, competitors. If your competitors aren't doing any marketing at all, you have a very strong chance of outranking and dominating the market with minimal effort. We had situations with clients where we rolled out their new website, we preloaded a little bit of SEO, local SEO, AI SEO into it, optimized the GBP a little bit, added some citations, cleaned up anything that needed cleaning, and they literally took over the market in a few months. This is especially true in like the more of the rural areas. But that dynamic completely changes in high competition markets. Because if your competitor is spending $50,000 a month in marketing and your budget is $5,000 a month, it's literally a Sisyphean endeavor. You're trying to roll the boulder up the hill just for it to come rolling back down. It literally feels self-defeating. And I've had this happen personally when we were in the wedding invitation space, right? My budget, I think, to promote our stuff was about $2,000 a month for marketing. And like Shutterfly was advertising and giving away thousands of dollars on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Like they were promoting like crazy. And I'm pretty sure maybe you can carve a small piece out of the market for yourself on that $5,000 a month. But ultimately, it really comes down to the level of growth and domination that you want. If you're going in for the kill, your budget should be between 1.5 and 2x of what your competitors are already spending. Keep on doing that long enough until you starve them out of the market. And obviously we know how this works because Deck Bros had a competitor in their market that has been in business for well over 40 years. Well established, 300 reviews, spending a decent chunk in marketing. Unfortunately for them, in 4 years, we got Deck Bros to take over the entire market. Deck Bros is now close to 500 reviews and has more than halved its competitors' revenue, while the established business is still wondering what happened. And realistically, if they wanted to get back in the game now, they'd have to spend closer to $100,000 a month. But they won't. And their business is going to get more and more starved of resources because our client is just consistent with his investment. How will you starve out your competitors if they are doing the same thing to you, right? Like everybody cheers for the underdog in the movies when he wins. We're not cheering because it was easy, but because we understand the struggles and effort that were needed to win. All right, moving on, layer 4, the lever that changes everything. CAC baked into your price. You know, I mentioned in the beginning that I'm going to get you to dominate for free. Let's expand on the concept of cost per client acquisition, or CAC. The math is simple. You divide your total marketing spend by the total number of clients. To keep things simple, if your total marketing spend is $20,000 a month and that generated 5 clients, your CAC is $4,000. 5 clients for that amount of dough? What if I told you that this is a remodeler and those 5 clients were all basement remodeling jobs averaging $80,000 a pop? So you've invested $20,000 into your marketing and made $400,000 in return. Wild, right? I mean, context matters a lot. This is a real use case, by the way, for a client who was making $3 million a year just from basement remodels. His total marketing spend was about, I don't know, $130,000 for the year, right? So he was spending $130,000 and he was making $3 million in return. If somebody told you that their marketing budget was $150,000 for the year, you'd probably think that they're crazy. But now that you see how they're making money, it all starts falling into place. You can go fancy and calculate this per marketing channel and such, but it's not really relevant. Average is great because you get organic working and you get Google ads and Meta ads firing, like everything compounds. If somebody sees your ads on Meta, but then they look you up online and can find you organically, whether through SEO, local SEO, or AI SEO, that lead is lost. Same thing offline. They see your truck, want to look you up, and you're not ranking for your brand name in their location, and you've just lost another lead. Trying to figure out profitability by channel, as many coaches talk about, is only useful for your ego. It's keeping you small and buckets you with the others that share in the contracting groups how little they're investing in marketing and how proud they are about it. Profitability per channel does nothing in the real world. I'll give you an example. We use server-side tracking instead of the classic tracking every agency uses, so we can see if someone came to your website like 6 months ago via SEO, then visited 3 months later from a Google ad, and finally converted from a Facebook ad today. Your regular agency would probably tell you that the lead is from Facebook. Heck, even the client will tell you that they came from Facebook, but they won't be able to tell you the whole story. And you'll make the wrong decision and kill SEO because it's not working. But in the end, it was the actual thing that got you that lead in the first place, right? It created the most important touch point in the process, which was the first touch point. Cool. All right, let's get back to how to make your marketing free. Once you figure out your CAC, all you have to do is bake that cost into your project's price. You're already adding materials, labor, overhead, and all of that. Why not marketing? Do you think those basement clients batted an eye between paying 84 grand instead of 80 grand for their remodel? It made absolutely no difference. They gladly paid because they found the right partner to take care of their home and their needs. The difference is value, not price. And guess what? Now that client just paid for the next client. Free marketing. Let me also let you in on another secret. The more jobs you sell, the lower your CAC. When we started with Luan, his CAC was around $3,000. But he was crazy enough to listen to me, and now he has a $50 million business for the year in 2025, and his CAC was around 900 bucks. Wild. And I get it, you may be hesitant at first. But if that's you, don't bake in all your CAC into your project cost. Add $1,000, add $2,000, add whatever you feel comfortable with, but start getting into the habit of pricing marketing into your estimate. Any job you do without baking in the CAC, you're literally paying for marketing out of pocket. You're already baking in your estimates the materials, labor, office stuff, like literally everything but marketing. That's kind of silly if you think about it, right? And I'll finish this layer with a fun story. I had a Windows guy once tell me excitedly that he charges 1/3 of what Renewal by Anderson charges in his market for the same Windows, and he can crush them. I told him that Renewal is running a business and not a charity. They had everything baked into their costs and then some. Flyers, door hangers, canvassers, SEO, Google ads, meta ads, TV commercial, billboards, everything. None of that was coming out of their pocket. That's why they were dominating the market. Through the sheer volume of being everywhere, they built a brand that people recognized and trusted. Our Windows guy had no chance to compete with his, I'll pay you $1,000 a month to get me to compete with them. Didn't matter that his pricing was 3 times lower than Renewal. The real question is, are you the Windows guy trying to save your way to success, or can you see the layers and the math that can get you to dominate your market? I literally should have put this into a course and charged for it because nobody's teaching this stuff. I told you that this is literally going to change the way that you think about marketing. Here at Contracting Empire, we do things differently, and there is no close second. All right, let's drive that last nail in the marketing percentage coffin. Layer 5, scale level makes marketing percentage meaningless. Let's say that you want to compete in a market and you budget 10% for it. At the same time, your competitor also budgets 10% for marketing. Who wins? And you see, this is a trick question because that 10% is really dependent on the revenue of the business. 10% marketing budget for a business that's doing $1 million a year is going to be $100,000 for the year. But the same 10% marketing budget for a business that's doing $5 million a year is going to be $500,000 for that year. Same 10%, totally different place. Who do you think is going to win the game? The guy who budgets $100,000 or the one who budgets $500,000? Also, setting marketing budgets with no follow-through is just a wish. A lot of people say that they want to invest and then they, they do it for 2-3 months and then they drag their feet. It doesn't work. You need to set a budget that aligns with your goals and then commit to it. When Luan came to us like 4 years ago, he was making $1 million a year. His goal was to hit $2 million. So based on his market niche competitors, we budgeted, I think, around $100,000. He ended up closing that year at $3.2 million. Fast forward to 2025, he closed the year at $15 million. His total marketing spend on our services was, I think, around $100,000. And while his total ad spend was around 400 grand. So his marketing budget for 2025 was around $500,000, and he made 15 million in return. That's a little over 3%. 4 years ago, we budgeted 10%. 4 years later, even though his spend increased 5 times, the total marketing budget is a measly 3.3%. That's the real power of looking at data and planning accurately. All right, let's recap, and I have some bonus tips for you. So, number 1. Percentage of revenue is the wrong question to begin with. The companies driving up the ad and SEO costs are these aggregators and large companies and franchises. If you're making over $1 million a year, invest in your own brand instead of theirs. Context matters. Your marketing budget is in direct correlation with your market potential, niche, and competitors. If you want to dominate, figure out how much competitors are spending and 1.5x or 2x that. Bake CAC into your project. If you can't, it's a mindset issue. Homeowners are always willing to pay a premium for the right contractor. And last but not least, skill level matters. The more money you make, the easier the game gets. Start from a position of knowledge. Look at the market, look at the data, and take a deep look at what you want to make and make decisions based on that. All right, bonus time. If you want to win, track your stuff. If you're signed on with a marketing agency, ask for accountability. Ask for timelines. If they're vague about things, they have no idea. You'll also get the occasional branding guys who never take accountability for anything. Look, branding is the story homeowners think and say when you're not around. It's intentional targeting plus nurturing, and that has measurable inputs and outputs. Same with SEO. Oh, it's gonna take 6 months. Maybe you're in a rural area and your site alone infused with some SEO will get you crushing 1 week after launch. We have countless of clients who crushed it in the month after the website launched. Cookie cutter answers just showcase that these, fly-by-night agencies have no idea what they're talking about. Even worse when they lock you into 12-month contracts and all you're going on is hope. Create a plan, budget for it, set a timeline, execute, and then track. All right, I gave you the keys, now the ball is in your court. If you'd like to run a simulation on how an investment would look like for your contracting business, check out the link in the description of this video. That's a nice calculator that helps you visualize all of this. If you're making over $1 million a year with your high-ticket contracting business and your average job size is above $15,000 and you're looking to dominate, not just, save your way to success, we should talk. The booking details are on the same page. All right, talk to you soon.